All right, so what is next? Well, today I'm gonna give you another deck profile featuring some of the set six cards, mainly focusing on the Agent of Destruction cards. I'm gonna call it Male Super Saiyan God Son Goku AOD for Agent of Destruction. So for this deck, we're mainly gonna be focusing on the mill portion of it, just kind of getting our cards out earlier in the game using objections and try to awaken as fast as possible because we are gonna be using the Soul Striker leader, one of the first leaders out for this game. It's kind of an OG leader if you haven't played with him yet or haven't seen him yet. He kind of became a little bit irrelevant when other leaders came out that kind of did the same skill as him, but now we're kind of going back with a lot more innovation now with all these extra or new cards that are kind of adding support to the game and things like that. Just to let you know, I haven't forgotten about the Majin Buu cards and things like that. Like I'm still editing or updating, I should say, other decks with the new cards are coming out set six as well. I'm going to be giving you guys full-on quick deck lists of those ones as well. Just quick ones, just because they've already been talked about. They already been having strategies. I'm just updating with the new cards and things like that. But this is a new deck all around, just because it's a it's a mill Nimba, not focusing around the mill or focusing around the mill, but not the Janima leader. So it kind of gets around that. And I just wanted to, if you guys can see that the SCR Majin Buu, I had to play with them. I had to use them. I had to figure out what's the best combination. Some people are saying Shinron out there. I really don't like using Shinron, just because I hate being all tapped out most of the time. The only decks I'm like not afraid to be tapped out is like red decks, just because they have a lot of negative effects, or green decks just because they have a lot of KOs. But having a black leader, it's kind of troublesome being all tapped out because they can just kind of run all over you because they know like your spark is not going to kill them or neg them or anything like that. And blue leaders, obviously, if you attack a blue leader, then they're going to just use dimension magic and untap two blues. So it's kind of a good combination right there. I just can't do Shinron basically. Yellow leaders are pretty good too, just because they have nimbuses as well to kind of shut down your opponent. But what I was trying to focus here is, so people are saying Shinron, like to use this agent or AOD, Agent of Destruction, and kind of get these combos out. Because what we're trying to do is get the 8 drop out as fast as possible, basically, or whenever we need them. So in this deck, how we go about it, we're going to be playing. Oh yeah, how we're going about it, we're basically going to be ramping up as fast as possible, and we're going to be playing the secret rare as many times as possible. Typically, we can get them out 3 times in this deck. We can do them way more. It's just like I didn't want to use too many overrun cards. Um, but I'll go through those strategies as I go. So if you didn't know what Super Saiyan Sun God Son Goku does, when he attacks on his front side, he can untap 1 blue energy. So not any energy, just 1 blue energy. So he's a basically unyielding Spirit Trunks. That's why we got 1 in here. But then on its awakened side, he's Super Saiyan God Son Goku's the Soul Striker, which on his backside, obviously, when he's at uh, you can draw one because that's just the standard auto typically for leaders on the Awakened side. Then he has a permanent skill as well. When you have 5 or more energy, he does get a 5k boost. So after 5 energy, which we'll get there pretty quickly, he'll attack and it'll be 20k base at that point. And then not just 1 energy, he will tap 2 when he attacks now. So we can just pull off more combos. So getting right into it, we're going to be running some pseudo combos, 4 unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Gokus. They work just like super combos as well, but instead of just getting free energy, you have to pay 1 and you get the 10k plus a draw. Then we're running 4 awakening talent pans because we do want to awaken as fast as possible. This one, it's not like the other ones where you can swag, hit, swing for attack, take a life, and get like 10k plus crit or double strike. This one you're gonna get just 10k, but at the end of the turn it does bounce back your hand, so we can awaken every single turn. And with our leader's ability or leader's skill, we won't be all tapped out. Then we're going to running 4 Bobbity Overseer of Destruction. This is the set 6 card that helps out the AOD cards as well. But so basically he's a barrier card, and then he has a permanent. You can only have 1 Bobbity Overseer of Destruction in play or in your battle area. Then basically you just reduce all Agent of Destruction cards in your hand by 1, and then also they treat it as if they have no specific cost. So you can play them in any energy when Bobody's on the field, which is really good. But in this deck, we're playing all blue, so it's not really, it doesn't really help us as much. But it's nice to know that it's there. Then we're playing 3 Burnished Bonds Borgos, just to get that draw, kind of add more flavor to our add more advantage to our hand. And then if they're trying to abuse it using their energy, using Senzu Bean on their turn, or even a Yieldings, or untapping with their leader, things like that, kind of what we do, then this kind of stops them too, because we're, what Borgos basically does, during your opponent's turn, if your opponent switches their energy basically to active mode without using their leader skill, but their awaken skill to be more specific, then you can choose one of their energies and put it in a drop area. So I'm not gonna lie, this kind of hinders our deck. So if their opponent is playing this, it's gonna really slow us down, because they'll be able to neg one of our energies every single time we use our auto. So we're gonna have to not use our auto when we attack, unfortunately. So it does kind of have a Achilles heel with that Burnished Bonds, and especially towards Dendays. We just got to look out for that. Most people are not maining Burnished Bonds these days, which is really good, but if you're doing a best of 3 tournament, expect that Burnished Bonds is going to be coming in, start siding out things, or start siding in things, more red cards like Planet M2 that kind of get over that Burnished Bonds, so it won't be negging you so much. Dendays, you can't really do anything about Dendays because they have to deflect and everything, so they're just going to take you out with Dendays as well, but hopefully you can get up there faster before they can get their Dendays, because that does slow their deck down when they try to side in more cards. Then for our super combos, we're going to be using Northkai Keep and Watch. This is the 4 life or less super combo. I was debating using that Great Saiyaman because it's that sparking, but since we do overwhelm a little bit, I just want to make sure our super combos are always active, and we want to try to awaken as fast as possible, even if they're hitting us. So we don't want to protect our life until above 4. We want to get to 4 as quickly as possible, so we'll let them hit us, so we don't really need that sparking 5 all the time. They were running 1 and Yielding, just because, well, and Yielding is basically what our leader does already, because during our turn, when we combo with this card, we can choose up to 1 energy and switch to active mode. Any energy, even if we're tapped out, so it's a better sensitivity in a sense. Then for our mill combination for our Janimbas, we're running 3 Childish Heart Janimbas. And if you don't know what this one does, it does have an Evolve 2 over a Sake Demon, but we're not going to be running the Sake Demons in this one. I did test it out, but our hand advantage was so small, we had to start charging our Janemba pieces, which basically was counterproductive to our deck. It does have an active main, and it does have barrier. So for what cost of 1 blue energy, you choose up to 1 Janemba card from your deck, and then send it to your warp. Then shuffle your deck and place this card at the bottom of the deck. Then you can choose 1 Janemba card with 4 costs, cost of 4 or less from your warp, and play it. Oh, excuse me, cost of 4. So not 4 or less, but just cost of 4, which all the Janimbas are cost of 4 except for Childish Heart Janimba. But yeah, just realize that it is 3 specific energy, 3 specific blue energy to play them. That's why we play mostly blue decks, because we just want to make sure this guy's always, or mostly blue cards, because we want to make sure this guy's always active. They're playing 3 Oaths Power Tapion, because we do want to make sure we awaken as fast as possible. So when we play this card, you may choose up to 2 cards from your life and add them to your hand. If you do, add 1 or more cards to your hand. You can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 5 or less and place at the top of your opponent's deck. So this is a little bit of board removal. And placing a card at the top of your opponent deck basically restricts them from drawing any new cards, because so we'll know exactly what's in their hand as well. At least 1 card that's in your hand. They're playing 3 Raging Spirit Sun Gohan just for some more board presence before we start going off for our combos. And also like kind of charge pieces that we don't really need, because at the end of the battle, after we combo with this card, if our leader card is blue, we play this card in rest mode. So it's a free body basically. Then we're going to be playing 2 Demon Sword Janimbas. It has critical and deflect. And then when it's on the field, it has active main. Place this card at the bottom of its owner's deck. Then we can choose up to 1 of our opponent's battle cards and send it to the warp. So no restriction, except for it obviously doesn't get past barrier. Then we place 2 cards from the top of our opponent's deck to the drop area. Then for the new Janimbas, Janimba AOD, when this at the end of the turn, excuse me, after this, activate this skill when you play this card from your hand or warp. So it's always going to be able to play, except for its play from the drop. But we'll be playing it from our hand or warp. At the end of the turn, if it's your turn, change up to, or excuse me, choose up to one energy in your choose up to one energy and switch it to active mode. So it gives us a free energy. So even if we tap out with this card, we can swap one energy to active mode. Then it has an active main. Send this card to the warp. Draw one card. Then your opponent places three cards from their top of their deck to the drop area. So it does aid our combinations as well for the milling process, which is really good. And then we're playing two Reality Bender Janibas. And we play this one because if we have no battle cards and our opponent has four a battle card with 4 more energy, we can play this card with 1 energy, which is really good. It also has critical and deflect, so most of the Janibos do have critical. Permanent, like I just said, if your opponent has 4 or more energy, then, oh, excuse me, 4 or more energy, and there are battle cards in your opponent battle area, and there are no battle cards in our battle area, we can reduce the energy cost of this card by 3 from our hand. And then at the end of the turn, place this card at the bottom of your deck and place 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck to the drop area. So it just follows up with the combo. Then for more pseudo combos, because we do want to protect our life when it counts, we got Infernal Villainy Cell. It has critical, and then but we don't really care about the critical so much because we won't be playing it. When we combo or play this card, we can draw 1 card. So it's just a pseudo combo for 1 cost. Then how we get back our some of our cards, like some of our maybe Childish Janemba, if we need them, or even mostly our Secret Rare or Absorption Majin Buu. We're going to have it playing 2 chunks power over Singing Time. This is overrun cost of 4 with Double Strike, which is good, but it does cost 2 energy to play them. When you play this card with Overrun, we choose up to 1 battle card from our warp and add it to our hand. So any battle card with no restriction there. And then we got here Arcane Absorption Majin Buu. And if you guys didn't know what this one does right here, it has Triple Strike and it's ultimate, so you can only play 1. With a cost of 6 energy, you choose 1 Evil Bobbity card in your drop area or warp, so that's a really good part right there. And then play it. And then when we play that card, we place this card on top of that card. So we just basically grab Bobbity, bring it to the battle area, and then we place Arcane Absorption Majin Buu right on top of it. Then when we play this card, if there's an Evil Wizard Bobbity card underneath this card, we choose up to 5 Agent of Destruction cards from our drop area or warp and play them. So we'll be trying to play all of our Janemba of the Agent of Destruction cards, so all 4 of them if we got them in a warp. But it'd be easier to get them to warp because they do stay in a warp. That's why I think their whole purpose is they don't recycle, but they stay in the warp. So if every time we played it with Childish Heart Janemba or we played from a hand, they would just be staying in the warp, waiting for our SCR to basically bring them out again. Then we're obviously going to be playing 4 Sensu Beans, and if you guys didn't know what this one does, we choose one of our, with a cost of 1 blue energy, we choose one of our cards that gains 5,000 attack power for our 5,000 power for a duration of the turn, and then we can swap any 2 energies back to active mode. So you don't have to untap that same blue energy. You can tap 2 other energies, but we're obviously our whole entire deck is blue, so we're going to be tapping blue energies. Then we're going to be using 3 objections, and then we just basically choose 1 card from our hand and add it to our energy. So it's just a free active, well, not really a free active energy. For a cost of 2, we can just add 1 active energy. So how the synergy of the deck works, I'm gonna give you guys some like deck play or some game battles, untapped battles, just to show you guys the combos. But how I really do it basically is trying to warp up, or excuse me, ramp up really fast, get the Bobbity out as fast as I can. I do play the Agent of Destruction Janimbas because I don't really care if they go to the drop. I mean, I try to get to a little warp as much as possible. If they go to the drop, that kind of sucks because I won't be able to get my Childish Heart Janimba plays. But I'm gonna be showing you guys some combos and how it works and why I prefer it. But like I said, you're going to be subjected to some Dendays and some Borgos, Burnish Bomb Borgos that are really going to hurt you. But this one, this deck basically gets a lot of value for little, and that's really good. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys liked the video, please do like and subscribe. But please do also comment on the video if you guys think something else would be better. I've been working on this tech for ever since the SCR came out, so a couple days now, trying to figure out which the best deck to get this out as fast as possible or when you need it as possible. So a lot of people are trying to rushing it out, trying to get it like turn 2, turn 3, and then they have no like AODs in the warp or drop, so it doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, so it works in the drop too, so it doesn't really matter if the Janembos go to the draw. But like I said before, I wanted to get to the war, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. If he can't use the card to its full ability, then why even play it at all? So right now, this deck kind of works out for me, but it will be subjected to, like I said, Dendes and Borgos. So you gotta definitely watch out for those ones inside in, like Planet M2s or cards that basically neg other cards that kind of get them off the field. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys next time.